How much transparency should be in the Dynasty trading discussion in your leagues? That and more this week on the Footballguys Dynasty Show. And Jordan, whether it's a private dialogue, a public dialogue, message boards, group me chats, what is your take on 1 to 10? How much transparency should there be between you, your trading partner, your league mates, and at large, the group discussion?
Yeah, I think it's a two-part. There's really a two-parter there. I think it's how much you want to disclose between you and the other person. If you and I are trading in a league, I think you want the information flow going in one direction, which is from them to you. So I typically don't disclose a ton. I don't send comments. I don't send the manifesto.
Really, no comments. No comments. You're a no comment guy? That's you?
I don't like sending a lot of information. So no.
Well, there's a difference between sending a lot of information, at least sending a comment. I always say things like, this is not particularly close, or, I value, this player higher than the whole package alone, or, vagaries. I call them vagaries, but at least I'm sending something. And you are just, no, talk to the hand. Just get out of here. Now, what do you think about when people, and this has happened in leagues, my own leagues, what do you think about people who share offers that were made privately in a public forum? It was like, oh, Jordan, he sent me this offer, of this the other week. Or they start saying, oh, well, that's way better than the other offers I saw, which were this, and this when I was trying to sell the pick. Where's the line? Where's the line of discretion?
If you mention a offer of mine in the group chat, you've made a mortal enemy of me. So wow. That's not something I think is that's not someone I want to deal with.
It's two teams, right? Two teams are having a dialogue through offers or through conversation, through talking about players or what they're looking for. And that's different. Just to specify, this is different than using trade bait or saying in the chat, hey, I'm looking to trade so-and-so player, or I'm looking to buy a quarterback, or whatever generality you want to say. Or, hey, I'm trying to, like, some people use the trade bait and say, here's all these players, I'll take a second for any one of them. Or, they might actually say what they'll take for them. But this goes beyond that because you're actually using a private conversation. Is that almost like, you have to, let me ask about the legal part of this. I mean, is that like recording a conversation and using it without permission? Is that a similarity to something we're discussing here?
Yeah, I don't know if it's got necessarily illegal. I think it's more of I wouldn't say it's like illegal, but I would say it's, you're having a private
No. I just meant that's a similarity to using it in the case or being able to actually apply it to a point you're trying to make, where if we record a phone call and, but if you share trades, I mean, like you said, it's a bridge burner, I think is the main thing you're saying, right? Absolutely. I can't say anything to Jordan now because Jordan is going to make fun of me or share on the league chat, and just, yeah, I mean, you're just probably going to stonewall and shut down and be like, why would I share anything? It's kind of like you talk to a therapist and you're like, hey, I thought this was private. And you just told everybody at my work, that I'm scared of spiders. Thanks. Like that was private. Now everyone's just calling me Spider-Man. It's just not good. But yeah, we actually had some discussion in the Shark Pool this week. It was going to be in the quotes at the end of the show that there are some leagues out there that are, it sounds like more than we would be comfortable, very transparent with. Now, again, I've made comments before when someone I think sells low on something, or I don't get any offer. Like we know that feeling of it grinds you the wrong way with, someone selling something for less. And yet I didn't see an offer. I didn't know they were available. I can't just send offers every day about every player just to make sure I'm not left out because you sold for half the price I would pay.
Yeah, and I think that's totally different, right? You're not dealing with, I think, especially if I'm going to go down the road of a negotiation with someone, which is, we've done it, right? I don't tend to be the person that initiates a ton of commentary in my trades, but I will have discussions with people, right? If they say, hey, what are you looking for, or something like that, we might, there are certain scenarios where I'll sort of delve into it a little bit further. And if that stuff finds its way into the the knowledge base of the league, that doesn't make me happy. Another thing too, and I mean, this is a first world problem, but there are a lot of leagues where my identity as the GM isn't known. And so if that stuff can really, you know, I don't particularly like when that happens either. So I try and protect against that because that creates a variety of issues that just aren't particularly fun. So I'm sensitive to those sorts of things. And again, if like I had it happen earlier this year, I sent out offers for, for Mike Davis around the league. Someone responded with a stupid lowball offer. I just sent back a smiling, crying face, and then he sent like one of those just laughing about it because I thought it was pretty funny. And then he screenshotted my offer to the league, and I said, "I'll never offer you. Like, don't worry. Like that'll be the last one you get from me." And it's someone I had a trade relationship with before, and I just you don't have one now. So that's a bridge that, like, I don't know. For me, I'm very particular about that sort of stuff. I don't want to deal with people that are headaches. I mean, honestly, I tend to think like it's pretty easy. I can make a deal with someone. I'll be respectful of their time. I'm not going to, like, I've said stuff in trade negotiations that ultimately I was like, I didn't really mean that, but I kind of honor the trade, because they did stuff that relied on it. Right. So I try and be fair. It pays itself out in the long term. Like, don't be a jerk is kind of the way that I look at it.
Yeah. And I think when you're going into trade negotiations that, again, your low ball is someone else's high ball and everything in between. So someone's reaction could be the exact opposite when you send the same offer and a different person has the same roster that you're sending it to. It can be taken completely different. And I do view it as, again, you can be civil. You can think that whether it's their offer to you, yours to them, that can be viewed as insulting. But let's be fair. You're probably in more than one league. You're probably in a few. And some people are in plenty. So many so that, trust me, they are not looking to insult you. They are going around and offering, as they should be, of like, oh, I'm trying to acquire this player. I think there's an inefficiency in the marketplace. Or I'm trying to sell this player. Or I'm trying to do this within the annual draft to get to a certain spot. So they're doing it. And to be fair, like, I've had someone mention to me, oh, you sent me a similar offer 3 months ago. Well, again, trust me, those aren't the only 2 offers I've sent. This is not some sort of Chad Jerling. Oh, it's been 3 months. Time to send one to Dan again. No, like I didn't even acknowledge, like, that means I'm consistent, I guess, that I'm knocking on that door yet again. And I think it's a behind closed doors thing. And hash it out. If someone is wasting your time and it happens repetitively and you're actually making a mental note because it's repetitive enough or whatever, I mean, make a comment, say, hey, we're not particularly close. And I always start the dialogue of who interests you on my roster. And I think if you start, now I'll be fair, I've done this a little bit where you have the 2 rosters and both people say who they're interested in, and there may not be a fit of trying to find a deal, but it at least brings you closer together. Here's the 5 guys you like. Here's the 2 picks and 3 players I like. Let's see if there's a fit. We can at least get a better offer on the table than us just throwing spaghetti against the wall. So, but all that, I mean, oh my goodness, going into a league chat and people just sharing, that I think would cause so many problems, people leaving, stopping conversations about trading. As you said, I mean, it could be 3-4 teams that are just, I'm not a fan of this, and now they're not trading. I think that would break down the league relatively quickly. Even if it doesn't end, even if half the league mates leave, I think it would still cause enough stress and strife to say it harms the trade market.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing that I don't like. You know what I have heard that I think's really interesting is, and I think it has a name. I don't recall it, but where it's basically you accept an offer, right? You and I negotiate a trade. I accept an offer. It instantly goes public, and then there's like a 24 to 48 hour time span where people can match or try and best the offer. What? Oh
yeah, I thought you were going to say it requires like a league vote, that they can overturn it. But you're talking about it's almost like a bidding thing at that point.
Right.
I have heard of that. I've never actually seen it or heard it from a listener, subscriber, whatever. I've never heard it in practice of someone where I can actually live vicariously and see how it works. Yeah. But that would be wild, would it not?
Oh, it'd be
Because I
great.
just saw a trade today where someone paid through the absolute moon for Kyle Pitts. Like after he was drafted, they did everything wrong. Kyle Pitts went 103 in the draft, and someone traded 104 plus to get Kyle Pitts. And I mean, that's 101, right? The moment they're in the window of hours after someone's drafted, you do not try to acquire that player. It is simply not going to work. The pick is so much cheaper than the player once it's attached. Oh, my goodness. I do want to remind you to sign up for that Football Guys daily email. It's at footballguys.com/email. Joe Braun is driving all the news, and there's a ton of news. I mean, we're tracking Carson Wentz this time of year. Heck, Quentin Nelson just went out for the Colts as well. You're going to be tracking maybe if they're going to make a move at quarterback. You've also got Devonta Smith with an injury early on. Marquise Brown is also dinged up. Those are things that could linger into the season. And again, you want those data points because you need to plan for your dynasty squad. So footballguys.com/email. And Jordan, finishing this out about talking about that transparency, I would also say that I don't know what your thoughts. Let's bring in trade bait, because I find it to not really result in deals. I see about half of league mates put something out there. It might be stale from 2 months ago, that most of them don't look at what they're asking for. They just list players that they want to dump. Half of them are guys that they could probably drop today. The other half are third round rookie picks or maybe a little more, not notable players. I don't see much happening with the trade bait. I think instead of clicking those buttons, they should probably send a couple offers and they'll make more trades in the aggregate year. Do you use trade bait? What function do you think it has in this dialogue about trading?
I don't typically use trade bait. Maybe once a year I'll use it. Typically the time I use it is I'm trying to spur some sort of action on a player that I think is rising in value. I'll give you an example. If I had Darrell Henderson a couple weeks ago, when Cam Akers went out, I might just post him, just to let everyone know, here's who has Darrell Henderson, right? I think that is kind of the reason that I use it. And again, that's typically a player that I think is going to be going up in value that I just post on there so people know.
A shiny name of recent lore. Is that kind of why you would put it on there?
It's a great way to put it.
Should you just select the box of one player so it goes out to the people that have the email notifications of like Darrell Henderson alert? He's out there and not on your team. Is that basically it? It's like a free classified ad?
Yeah.
Would you also send offers, or would you also send offers, or would you just do the trade bait thing?
Yeah, I might send the offers too. And, and then what I think the other aspect to that is the person on the flip side of that, the person receiving those offers from me, and then all of a sudden saying, hey, like there's maybe a more competitive market here, right? I might need to move quicker, or, instead of trying to negotiate back and forth with me, they might just say, hey, listen, I'll just do this deal, which is advantageous to me. I'm sort of driving up what appears to be interest in the specific player. So that's a tactic. I don't do it a ton. I use it pretty selectively. If people are super paying attention to my habits, I doubt that they are in terms of that particular tactic, but they'd probably sort of know what my angle was. But, and I'm saying it now, but yeah, that's kind of the way that I would use it. I do monitor it. I always like to look at them, and when I get all the email notifications for trade baits, when I see them come in, I'm always curious, like, hey, what's this person thinking? And, what's this person trying to accomplish with this trade bait? Are they just old guys that they're trying, that they're going to cut? Because that is very apparent that you can see that on the trade bait typically. Or are these guys that they're, are they young guys that they're trying to sell off at a profit, right? There's different ways to react to that. So I was trying to look at what they're getting at in terms of what was in their mind when they're doing it, because it's free information. All that stuff. I
actually like on the bait when they say what they're looking for, because a lot of times they'll say they're looking for picks, or looking for a running back or quarterback. So that actually provides me. I sometimes I can just generally ignore what they posted, but if they say I'm looking for a quarterback, boom, okay. If I have excess, I'm maybe looking to sell. that's definitely a team I'm going to send an offer. And it's not always that glaring team that you might pick out of the other 11 or 13 that you say, oh, I would definitely send an offer. I would think they would be in the top 2. They may think they're weaker than the outsider would actually, perceive them to be. Let's get into talking some trades, and actually we'll go straight into Darrell Henderson because we've got one this week, and it involves another white hot player in CeeDee Lamb. So he is one that it feels like CeeDee Lamb is a blank check. I have him in a couple spots where I'm kind of like you, where it's getting really hot in here. They're turning the dial up like it's Florida elderly season, where you got to be. And frankly, I know that world now. If the house is below about 77, I'm like, wow, where is the sweatshirt? I need socks. I'm unfamiliar with wearing socks, but I need them now. So CeeDee Lamb, again, is just rarefied air. So we've got in a 1 quarterback league, and it doesn't involve any of that, but CeeDee Lamb for Kenny Golladay and Darrell Henderson.
CeeDee Lamb for Golladay and Darrell Henderson.
Yes, sir.
I'm taking the CeeDee Lamb side of that. That seems like a bail low on where he's at right now, right?
Yeah, and a lot of the dialogue was, if you get 2 or 3 years out of Darrell Henderson, and I would say, hold your horses. How about we work on this 1 year and kind of see how this thing starts? Because we've talked before about Cam Akers that, is he going to be insulated? Are the Rams going to sit tight in the offseason? How much does Henderson have to do when they clearly haven't shown a ton of allegiance to him through 2 years? In bringing back Malcolm Brown a couple years ago, I believe. And then, you've got the drafting of Cam Akers. So there's a lot of moving pieces to project that. And Golladay is a guy that I am just generally trying to avoid. I feel like he's going to be one that he got the contract. I think the Giants have a lot of places to go with the ball. And I don't trust the quarterback, and I don't trust Golladay to be some Tilton offense alpha. Could he post another top 24 season? Maybe. But I don't think we're going to see elite, and I don't think we're going to see a 2-3 year run here to close out his 20s. So, if you sub different players, I guess this is possible, but it feels like even if you took Lamb here, you could turn him into better than Golladay and Henderson would be my biggest thought.
Yeah, that would be mine too. I'll say that, especially now, Golladay came up lame today with a hamstring, or what appeared to be a hamstring. Yeah. So that would be one thing too. Hey, everything's breaking just roses for Evan Ingram, by the way. Just everything is. Galladay.
Kadarius Toney was on the shelf until like today or yesterday.
In terms of to show up to practice, just leaving practice early and not coming, and it just Barkley's not practicing. As long as Ingram doesn't get in any more fights in practice.
Well, targets weren't the problem for Ingram last year either, just to point that out. So, touchdown regression is on his side. That's a good thing. He should be highly motivated because critical point in his career to start getting paid significantly if he is going to be so in his mid-20s here. We got George Kittle, and it's a one tight end, no frills format here. 1 quarterback as well for these picks coming up. But Kittle, how many tight ends are worth 2 firsts? Because he was traded for a 22 and a 24 first. So you got to wait on the second one, but firsts are firsts. And are you on the bullish, little skeptical, somewhere in the middle on Kittle of being a high-end guy, should rub shoulders with some of those other elites?
Is that super? Are those super flex first, or are they just standard?
No, it's a 1 quarterback.
And it's standard scoring for tight ends as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough for a tight end to make a difference. I think Kittle's actually pretty efficient. I just wonder what the overall volume is. I know that this week is. You remember last year how it was like every week it was in different wide receiver 1. Well, this week it's absolutely quarterback 1 week of Trey Lance because everyone is fawning over themselves to say more aggressive things about Trey Lance. It's kind of like one of those games of like cliffhanger where it's like you got to do more aggressive before the little, mountain climber guy falls off the cliff. Like Price is Right. I'm pretty skeptical on the ultimate upside of Kittle. I would have I think at least 3 guys in front of him in terms of that. So Yeah,
I worry about
if
the competition for targets.
Yeah.
And I also worry if and when Trey Lance starts. I think they're going to have a heck of a lot of fun with the run game. And those Trey Lance rushes, which would not go to Jimmy Garoppolo under this previous regime or how the season starts, I think those Lance rushes are going to come straight out of passing attempts. So, and Brandon Ayuk stepping out, if Deebo Samuel is healthy, I mean, I just think the competition for targets, and if you're taking that target load down, the aggregate pool, that's going to squeeze him a little bit. So he pretty much needs to be efficient. I kind of agree with you. Like, can he get to tight end 1? Can he really be a lock in the top 3, for example? Now, I mean, I think him being outside the top 5 or 6 is going to be pretty difficult considering how the position falls off. And, his panache for bigger plays after the catch. I mean, the dynamic nature of his play. But I mean, I just see a team that's going to have a heck of a lot of fun with a mobile quarterback for the first time in a while. So I see that is that week 4, is that week 8, week 1, week 12, whatever. But it's coming, and so Garoppolo under center is probably better news for Kittle in the short term. I just think that 24 first is like, that's out there, and I know you're getting it now and you're getting it early. So I don't know if Kittle's a big upgrade. I really don't mind giving up the 22 first, considering it's not super flex. I mean, if you're sitting right now and you've got not one of the top 7 or 8 guys, I mean, and I'm not going to say you're rubbing sticks together, because you could maybe, the Dalton Schultz inside straight of, I don't know what I have, but week 1, week 3, I might know what I have. Right. But, if I'm sitting with Ferkser or Hooper or Adam Troutman or, just uncertain situations, Irv Smith, like, I would consider Kittle a pretty big upgrade. And I mean, that could be a win, right? I mean, that could be a win this year. So given the 22 first, I don't have a big problem as long as it's a pretty good upgrade. If you have an Andrews or, another strong tight end, I definitely wouldn't double up to flex, a Kittle type in that, secondary tight end marketplace. I wouldn't do that. All right. How about one of our favorite guys, Robert Woods? Not traded a ton, but here we got a 1 quarterback trade where a team is going 108 and a first next year. Sidebar, the team was undefeated that pick is. So, I mean, we treat them as random. But random-ish, question mark. So you're trading up from 108 to 106, but you're also getting Robert Woods. So 8-6 in 1 quarterback, that could be a pivotal tier movement there. And you're giving up that first to get Woods. So a little bit of an upgrade this year, but you're also giving up a first. What do you think?
So you're getting 106 and Robert Woods.
Yes, for 8 and the first.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Man, it feels like, I don't know. It feels like it's really got to break right for you on the pick thing for that to happen, right? Is that because if that's probably not Etienne, right? It's probably not Harris, and so it's
at
probably
6,
right?
Well, 6. I mean, you're looking at Sermon and
it's gotta be
maybe
Sermon or Bateman, right? I mean, that's
Javonte Williams if you're super lucky. I mean, but you've got to get and we talked about it, I think, before the show started. I mean, you've got Jalen Waddle, some questions if he's going to be healthy. Devonta Smith, soft tissue. No, it's a knee. How do you feel about that? He's going to be 2-3 weeks missing this valuable time going into week 1, even if he plays week 1. Those are the guys that you're kind of hoping are at 6, 7, 8. If you're looking to get a Bateman or somebody else at 7, 8, 9, 10, Sermon. So it feels like it's not rolling your way with a draft that's still coming, which is so I don't know. I would want to be at 6. I would want to just lock up Sermon personally. And again, if that's a late first, I think that's perfectly fine for Woods, who I think is going to be top 15, top 18 this year. And so I don't know, if you're banking and he's contractually.
For a receiver.
Oh yeah. Don't trade up to 6 for my choice of all the next guys. Yeah. No, I think that's prudent. Let's do one more here. So what do you think about packaging Darrell Henderson and Cam Akers together? I did that in one trade to get a much bigger return than trying to shop either one individually. But what do you think about Henderson and Akers together in one quarterback for Courtland Sutton, not my favorite, but still a guy that you could trade, and a 22 second and a 23 third. Oh, sorry, 23 first. No, so 23 first. Oh my goodness. Scratch that. Sorry, Cecil.
They got the sorry Joe. They got the sorry Joe. We got to get this.
Sorry Joe. I got sorry Cecil for the should be edited, but probably will not be. Just buried in Dynasty trade discussion.
Oh man.
First, second, and Sutton.
Give me the first.
You get the first. Just bank it.
First. Take the first.
Okay. Yep. But Henderson starter 16 elite games this year. Cam Akers 16 elite games next year. No, doesn't interest you.
No, I mean, I think all that's probably unlikely. Give me the pick. Not a huge Sutton fan, but I think you could probably replicate the points from Henderson with that second next year if you wanted to do that and just bank the pick.
That's true. Yeah, and Sutton, let's face it. I mean, you could probably go second to first with him just to give some options. You could probably pivot to, hey, what if you pivot to Mike Davis and a pick? I mean, so you all of a sudden you went Mike Davis and a pick, so you got 3 picks. Mike Davis, who might outproduce Henderson. Who knows what's going to happen with Akers, but I think you should take any first, right? To just bank the what if he doesn't come back. I hope he comes back. I hope he makes these look silly and he's really rewriting the Achilles recovery for running backs. And I hope all that happens. Rooting for him. But let's face it, we got to be more realistic than that.
Hey, by the way, one piece of information that came out this week that I think is important that I didn't know that I do think we should at least put on our Cam Akers mindset. And shout out to Matt Waldman for this. Kenny Ngannou at Iowa State, torn Achilles in college.
2017. Yep.
Tested like an absolute
4.3-ish. Yeah. Right. I mean, he was off the charts, like 99 percentile in athletic, and no one was really tracking him. Now, what I will say is, yes, he was buried by Breece Hall. And actually, when he first started, that might have still been David Montgomery, being there. So he was, again, completely buried. You could use maybe the Antonio Gibson argument and just saying, well, where's the opportunity going to come from? But yeah, so torn Achilles, but he was the returner there. And like you said, tested really well. He has like minimal offensive production, but good to see him, even if it's now a few years removed. The fact that he's getting back on the map. So yeah, that's a good pull there. Yeah. Chad Parsons, Jordan McNamara, episode 64, Football Guys Dynasty Show. Football Guys mobile app is back for 2021. You're going to get all those great custom projections for your league to dominate the waiver wire, trading, syncing your roster. It's available on Apple and Google Play stores. All of the feeder data you need from Football Guys in a clean mobile app. And that's over on Apple and Google Play stores with the Football Guys mobile app for 2021. We have finally got the quotes from the Football Guys Dynasty Forum this week. Nick Chubb getting a new contract, some added years of life for a 25, 26-year-old back. It says Chubb is 26 this year. I know he's the best pure runner in football, but I think he might have hit his ceiling last year.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you're measuring for your ceiling. I do think it's, he's been over expectation. I think some of the yards per attempt stuff as a carry, as a running back, is really fluky year over year. But if you just look at some of the advanced metrics, just the rushing yards over expectation, he's just dominated. So you kind of know he's, quote, good. I'm surprised that they paid him as much money as they did. It's I'll say this about the running back position. Analytics Twitter wants to say that running backs don't matter. Analytics NFL franchises constantly throwing assets at running backs. And you can look at Cleveland, you can look at Philadelphia, you can look at Baltimore, the Patriots. Like, it goes on and on about the teams that you would think are in the analytics camp, at least in the NFL. I wonder if there's an economic inefficiency. I don't think there is with Nick Chubb being paid $12 million a year, but I have thought that was some of the other, the day 2 picks on running backs I actually didn't think was bad process. This one was interesting to me given the front office, but good on him. He's earned it. I do think it buys him a couple of years of longevity with his knee injury and stuff. He was one that I wasn't sure what the market was going to do with. I just didn't know.
That's confidence boosting, for Dynasty, that's a booster. Cause when you get mid-20s as a running back and, if you don't have elite pedigree that might put, Zeke, guys like that put you on a a pretty different stratosphere when you produce well early in your career. You're going to go later 20s typically and beyond your peers that have lesser pedigree, because that it breeds other parts, that you're probably a better player. Obviously you started out from a higher vantage point, and the NFL thought that highly of you to begin with. But with Chubb, I'll point this out. I mean, if you want to quibble and say, he's more of a lower running back one, we've had healthy Hunt and Chubb, together. So what happens when one of them is out is sort of the calculus here. I mean, yes, Hunt is more of a, PPR running back 2 type ish, and they all have moments. They all have games. But what I'll say is, I mean, they go through the roof when either of the other one is out. The DNA of this team is run the ball, protect Baker Mayfield, keep him on schedule. And I mean, that's their DNA. And it's not that Chubb can't do work in the receiving game. They have a guy that they think is a little better, and they got a 2-back system. So if Hunt misses a month, Chubb could be the running back 1. So let's not this whole the perfect storm I keep saying about Madison. What are you going to dump Madison onto the waiver wire because you haven't gotten the Dalvin Cook injury that's opened a door for Madison for a month plus in the last 2 years? No. You keep doubling down, right? Running backs, the Marshawn Lynch 4 years healthy in a row thing is such an outlier scenario of an actual getting meaningful work back. Again, the moment you start doubting that it's going to happen, it will. And you start fading your dynasty rosters and start making moves like that. They're always running the 2-back system. Neither one of them misses time. Watch, someone's going to miss 2 months of the season this year because it hasn't happened for a year or two. All right. 4 firsts is a ton, and I think it's more than anyone is worth.
I tested this experiment, and I offered 4 firsts for the only person that I would do it for, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, not Darrell Henderson.
CeeDee Lamb, and I got rejected. No, it was Patrick Mahomes, and I got a rejection with no response. So
maybe they just have your take. They just don't like giving responses. Now, what were those first? Were they just 4 progressive years?
All
was 2 of them
first. All 2022 first.
4 2022 firsts.
I have to go back and look at how I actually accumulated these. I did a bunch of trading in a startup draft. I think I accumulated a couple, and there was another trade in there that I did, and I don't remember what it was. That landed me another first, and so I've just got a plethora of picks. And I just want to see it as a thought exercise, just to see what happens.
Could you see a formula for a non-Patrick Mahomes, let's say non-quarterback profile, a running back, wide receiver, tight end? Could you see a formula of age, pedigree, production, outlook, format that could make a non-quarterback worth 4 firsts?
Well, the only I think at running back that's probably malpractice. I think the wide receiver profile to think about that with is Justin Jefferson. He's the only one that warrants that type of thought, given all the factors that you laid out.
If he posts another one, you mean, or even right now?
Right now.
Oh wow.
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think 2 in a player could get him. I think 3 would get him. I think. Okay.
I think it's really.
I think the double pop, the double hit, definitely alleviates more concern than the 1 pop.
I've got a player comparison tool, and I ran Justin Jefferson through it based off of his experience of basically 1 year, what he did, what his value is now, what his value was before. I think draft pedigree was an aspect of it too. And through my tool, there's basically almost everyone in the tool comes back with it returns future ADP. And it returns basically future production as well. And so that's kind of what you're looking at. Almost every single person in there, is projected to drop in ADP just because veterans drop in ADP. It's just kind of what happens. He now, mind you, he is wide receiver 2 right now in terms of where he's going. And he's got a 50-50 shot to improve on that based on what his comps have done. And his comps were like wide receiver 5.
Well, especially you look at all the guys that are going around him at wide receiver are, 26, 28. I mean, you got Adams and Tyreek Hill and, Devon, just a few others that are clearly older. So all he has to kind of do is survive in advance, to use the March Madness term, because all he has to do is post, and 1-2 of those guys will naturally erode downward, either in production and injury, or just age, attrition, right? Of just dropping down. He's going to look even better. That young, that's partly why DK Metcalf is so high, right? I mean, hey, he's young, put up a wide receiver 1 season, and boom, there you are. You're up there. You're anointed because you're not 28.
Right. I'll say with Jefferson too, like his comps include they're basically first ballot Hall of Famers, or they're guys that got hurt.
Yeah.
Like that's who it is.
Well, year one wide receiver ones are rare. I don't care if you were the 105 pick in the NFL draft or, whatever your profile was, it's still very difficult to just walk in and do that.
Correct.
And he has a benefit of being 21. So he also isn't, a 23, 24-year-old where you're accelerating that clock of depreciation where people look up and it's like Ridley, right? I mean, he came in at 23. He's posted some good seasons, but he's already 26. And it feels like he's just kind of getting into his prime, and yet Jefferson's 3, 4, 5 years younger and already kind of at a similar place of confidence for people. Chances are very good that CeeDee Lamb is the wide receiver 1 in Dallas for a decade. Unpack that one.
No. I don't know what the chances being very good are, but anyone thinking like that is just go look at the.
What would you consider the vagaries of, what do you think the term very good? Is that over 50%?
I mean, I wouldn't give it over. I mean, he's not the wide receiver 1 yet, so you have to project him to actually do that.
So the decade would start in 22?
Apparently.
Or whenever it starts, right?
Right. Whenever, at some point, well, he's got to. Listen, Chad, he has to.
That's rookie contract. Well, now see that he's 1 year in. Let's say he goes a year. Let's say even partway through this year. So he's a year and a half into his rookie deal. That's 4 years plus a 5th year option. So he's got to go that plus a full 5-year giant, massive, record-breaking extension. And we're going to assume Dak Prescott is still around. Actually, no. It just says he's the wide receiver 1 for Dallas. So it never says how he's going to produce.
Right. Yeah, there's about a 10% chance of that happening. It's just not
10%. A decade is a long. What wide receiver? I'm trying to think. So DeAndre Hopkins, did he make it no, he didn't make it a decade.
Julio
is probably pretty close.
Well, definitely, it wasn't Adams.
This is a very good question. Who is the Larry Fitzgerald? Okay, we got that one. Wide receiver 1 for his own team. Same team, for a decade. Man, that's a great trivia question. Where's Adam Hurst? Same team. Marvin Harrison? Yes.
Marvin Harrison, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Mike Harrison, Reggie.
Give a few more years.
Right. Calvin Johnson only played 9. Torrey Holt, I can't remember if and when he changed teams. Anyway.
Went to Jacksonville, right? Can you go to Jacksonville?
Andre Johnson had to. Yeah. He posted a decade before he changed teams, right?
Yeah,
I think he probably got there.
Did he get a full decade in? I don't know.
I think he played. I have the chart right here. He played 14 total seasons. I know he was around for at least a couple at the end, but I think he posted 10. I think he got 10 in Houston. Roddy White, did he get to? No, did he change teams? Or did Roddy White change teams at the end?
I don't remember.
Oh, but he wasn't the wide receiver 1 for the first couple of years. Oh, that's the trigger. You got to be the wide receiver 1 for a decade. All right. So anyway, rabbit hole complete.
So the priors on this aren't good, Chad. The priors on this
and we were trying to throw around historic guys. Yeah, even great guys change teams. Jerry Rice, actually, no, he counts, right? He changed teams a lot, but he played 20 years or something. So the 10, I do think he got to 10 in San Francisco. Yeah, the next decade. All right, the GM trading. Here we go. This is what we were talking about earlier in the show. The GM trading Cam Akers held a sort of auction where he was taking offers for a few days and ranking them in the league chat. So here's your moment, Jordan. So you sent an offer. He ranked your offer in the league chat of saying, you know what? Chad's was subpar. Jordan's was worse. And he actually says what it was. He offered a second, and that's insulting to my family. Chad offered a third. That's more insulting to my family. So what do you think about that? An auction. First of all, I've seen so many times where they say, I'm going to trade this player to the best offer today. I send an offer and then they don't sell the player by the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. False advertising.
All trust is lost.
Fraud.
Exactly.
So I actually participated in one of these, and I tried to get a little fun with it. So I
participated.
I sent a low ball offer, and I forget what it was. I don't
rank?
remember specifically what it was, but I know specifically it had to do with the Oklahoma. It had an Oklahoma player I was trying to sell. I don't remember specifically who it was, but I then tagged, and it was one of these contests where they were like, "I'll put it on Twitter and see which side gets the most results." Ooh. So it was either Oklahoma or Ohio State. I forget exactly who it was, but I put them in as the player that I was trading, and then tagged the school, the intent that I could get some follows, some votes,
some real reach
player. And I was unsuccessful ultimately, but yeah. So I've participated in that, but I'm not participating in something where they're going to make my valuations of players.
Well, no. Well, what if they just rank it? What if they say, this is team McNamara, we rank you third in the offers that were sent. What if they don't say what it is, but they rank? That's still no. Not a fan.
That'd be interesting.
Public spectacle.
If I just knew, like, hey, you were a close runner.
Or you just weren't close. We always used to say in the military, just to provide one more. I was in the Army for 12 years. We had this promotion process, but they wanted everyone to try as hard as possible to be promoted at all times. But the problem is you would have 10 people going for one spot, and you never knew, like, the transparency was never there. They were like, this person got promoted. All of you did not. And then you go congratulate them. Great job, Schmuck. Yeah. But wouldn't it be nice to know that you were 8th? Okay, you're not close. So whatever you think you're doing, so if you tried, you might want to give up. And I know they don't want people to give up. All progression in your career is lost. But like if you were 8th, okay, I've really got to step it up. If you were 3rd, you're like, just missed. They were a little bit better. But this would also, like you said, this might be helpful. They viewed the offer that got accepted way better than yours. You weren't even close. You weren't even on the map. All right, last one. All right, here we go. Training camp centric, preseason centric, because we know the dialogue that happens with camp reports. Here we go. Everyone this time of year has a role that is expected to be bigger and better than ever.
Yep.
It's a zero-sum game. Someone has to fall if someone's rising.
No, that's not true, Chad. Everyone's. I posted this on Twitter earlier this
Round
week.
one upside.
The most obvious thing ever. There's going to be, out of the top 85 wide receivers in ADP, there's going to be 115% hit rate, and there's going to be 63 guys who finishes a wide receiver 1 this year. Like, that's just what's going to happen. So,
the old top 12 upside.
Zero-sum game. It's everyone's going to do everything. It's like a little league where everyone gets a participation trophy. It's kind of what we're dealing with this time of year.
Yeah. And you're being realistic. If you ever want to do truly a test here, do a little column work in Excel and write down % chance that a wide receiver is going to be a wide receiver 1, so top 12, and then % chance top 24. And then do that for a bunch of wide receivers. Start totaling up those percentages, because guess what? The top 12 should total about 1,200, right? 1,200%, because you're going to have 12 of them with 100% success at the end of the season, 2,400 for top 24. And if you get like a number like 1,900 for top 12,
no good.
You fit the exact moniker and exact profile of a lot of people on Twitter. Everyone's going to be great. Participation trophies. Everyone gets an orange slice. We're all winners here. So, and guess what? This might actually be a half full, half empty glass mindset argument, because if you end up with only 600 for the top 12, you're like, well, I'm a tough grader. I'm like the German, the East German judge for ice skating, or whatever the joke was. Any final thoughts, Jordan, as we go through here in terms of, we actually have football this week. Football this week will be happening. Things are changing by the time we record next week. And then we got one more show, and then it's going to be a full sprint. Full NFL activities in preseason action, and then see you at the new year.
Yeah, so I'll just follow up with what you said for a second. So I actually have run the numbers on that number, and so I ran basically your positional ranking in ADP and your odds of hitting in year 1. It's of a top 24 season, those top 24 guys have a cumulative 1,326%. So you're looking at 13 and a quarter basically of those as being top 24 guys. So think of that in terms of nearly half are outside of that, and there's a huge residual of guys we don't project. So I do think that's the big takeaway. Yeah, I mean, we're getting football, and I remember this time last year we didn't know what we were getting. So it's good to be in. It's good to have a little bit more certainty in life.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We're going to take it week by week, game by game is always the way to go. And you're following this show, you're listening. Thanks so much for that. You're subscribing and you're rating on all of your podcasting platforms. But you're a serious fantasy player, and consistently winning takes a lot of time. It's a challenge, and that Footballguys premium subscription gives you the edge and helps make winning decisions in less time. And that's critical. You're in 5, 10, 20. For us, beyond that number of leagues, anything you can do to take 10, 30 minutes off your plate on a weekly basis to allow more trading opportunities, allow you to focus on player evals, spend a little more time with your waiver bidding and maybe not the player selection. Footballguys saves you all that time with their in-depth projections. You've got all the waiver priorities that are going to go through. And again, all seamlessly highlighted for your synced leagues on My Footballguys. So that same league winning information, they've also got a DFS package with all encompassing as well as the season long. Now is the perfect time. The paywall is up. So we'll do the work. You do the winning. In this episode, we discussed a lot about dynasty trading, a lot about process. We also just talked about discussing and what that communication is like in various league platforms for dynasty trading. And again, what that should be, but also I think that endpoint we had about how you project players and the risk factor of confidence, CeeDee Lamb was a talking point for that. But you, again, want to have a very balanced outlook for players, knowing the range of outcomes and knowing it may not be absolutely aligned with what you think is probable or likely. And Jordan always has a really great comment where it's basically, you shouldn't be as confident as you are probably in your success or failure rate for players and profiles, that it's a lot more of a gray zone. And we're operating between, I prefer dark gray to light gray, and all that, potential clarity as opposed to certainty within that clarity. So enjoy the football this week. Enjoy it more as the weeks follow here. I am Chad Parsons. He is Jordan McNamara. And until next time, good luck in your dynasty leagues.